Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing good. It's your girl Seeker in the house, and this is just a quick pass by to say hello to everybody. But I heard this absolutely amazing, fantastic story, which I couldn't help but share because I think that some of the moral lessons from that story are going to aid us in being better people and not allowing the court of public opinion to push us sometimes to make decisions that are hasty, that are going to truncate your progress and the destiny that you were meant to fulfill on this planet. Good morning to everybody. Your girl Seeker in the house. So there was this fantastic guy who met this younger lady who wasn't able to afford to go to school herself because her family was from a poorer background. She was very intelligent, but she couldn't afford to pay her way through school. So this guy helped her to get through school till she got to the tertiary level. She finished university, graduated, and the man got married to her and they had 2 children. They were very happy. The man was so much in love with his wife, and they had a fabulous marriage to begin with. After time, he got the opportunity to travel abroad. And so he left his wife and his 2 children behind in Africa and went abroad to seek greener pastures. Whilst he was away, they spoke all the time. He sent remittances to the family all the time, made sure they were okay, and helped them to pay all the bills that were necessary. However, as time went on, things became bleak in the sense that suddenly the man stopped communicating with his wife and children. The wife would try the numbers that she knew him to be on, and none of them seemed to work. But before he got missing, or shall I say he went quiet, he had introduced a best friend of his who also lived in the same country as him to the wife as his best friend, another guy. And so the wife was reassured that if nobody else knows where my husband is, this guy would be able to tell me what has happened. They live in the same country. Come on, he can tell me what is going on. So she calls the husband's best friend, close friend, whatever, to ask, where's my husband? I've been trying to reach him and I can't get through to him. The guy says, well, I've been trying to call him and all too. Sometimes I get his voicemail, but in recent times when I call, the call doesn't even bother going through. I don't understand what has happened. I've tried to go to the home that I've known him to be, but they said he doesn't live there anymore. So I really don't also understand what is happening. This made the wife very worried and upset, but there was nothing she could do. Before long, 4 years had gone past. No communication with the husband, nothing. She didn't know what was going on, and life became unbearable for them because he was their source of livelihood. No money coming in. What are they going to do? At that time, there were lots of naysayers, lots of conversations, lots of things that people around her were saying. Oh, I'm sure this man has moved on. He's met somebody else abroad and he's married. Somebody said, oh, I even heard that he's now seriously dating this Jamaican woman and they're now living together. He's even had other children with her. And that's why you're not hearing from me. I think you should forget about him and move on with your life. There are other fishes in the sea. Look at all these guys that are living here. Why don't you find somebody else to get married to? She became confused. She didn't know what to do. Other people who also had spouses abroad and had had very bad, experiences were all telling her things, and her mind was blowing. She didn't know what to do. Now, she couldn't even afford to live where they were living anymore. And in that same town, there was a widow whose husband had died and had left her a house. So at least her position seemed to be a lot better than this younger lady with her children. And so seeing how sad their situation was, this widow decided to take them in and help them with accommodation, trying to share whatever little she had with them. When she moved in with this woman, the gossiping got worse. Now people even started suggesting that this wife was now in a lesbian relationship with the widow. People were saying all kinds of things, and this just fueled her frustration even more, to the point where the widow had decided to throw them out so she can have her peace. She was just trying to be kind. She was just trying to be generous and be helpful to people who are in need. And if in exchange for that, people are going to accuse her wrongly of things that are not true, then there's just simply no point. But right at that time, they met this guy who was a pastor of a church not too far away. They presented their case to the pastor, and the pastor prayed and advised them to just forget about what people are saying. I know in the heart of hearts that you are just genuinely trying to be kind to this woman who is now abandoned and doesn't hear very much or heard anything from her husband for 5 years at this point. Things were really rough. They carried on, they lived their lives, tried to forget about all the noise around them, but it wasn't without its challenges. Good morning to everybody. I hope you're all doing good. Another 2 years came and went, and there was still no word from the husband that was living abroad. At this point, the woman is just beyond herself, doesn't know what to do. And yet, the pastor is still insisting, let's just pray about it. Don't make any hasty decisions yet. Let's just wait and see what happens. A few short months later, the pastor gets a phone call from the wife saying, oh, I was just there. And then my husband suddenly called to say he is back in Ghana and on his way to the town that we are living in. What happened? How comes we haven't heard from you for the last 7 years? The guy says, you know what? Just wait. Let me get home and I can explain everything to you. So they waited and the man got back home. They fed him and then asked him all about what had happened. And to cut a long story short, the guy happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Mistaken identity. Somebody had been unalived, and because that person was not there anymore, and this guy fitted the bill of the person that was suspected to have been the one that unalived somebody else, he was charged wrongfully and thrown behind bars. And this was why nobody could hear from him for that whole time. He was in prison for 7 good years. Now, luckily for him, and as fate would have it, there are always pro bono solicitors and people that come to visit prison inmates, especially those who don't have anybody to defend them. One of those people took a keen interest in the case because the guy didn't have no criminal record before. So how could he just go from not a law-abiding citizen to deleting somebody and taking somebody else's life? It didn't make sense. But at the time, the police didn't care. They had a face to the name that fitted the bill of a black man, and he fitted it. So they put him behind bars for 7 good years. But some people never stopped. They kept investigating and investigating and praying and investigating. And eventually, the actual perpetrator had gone to commit another crime. And that is what was the catalyst that led to the real person that took somebody else's life to now be put to book. So they had wrongfully charged somebody who was innocent for a crime that he had never committed. And there's so many things that happen. This is not, an isolated case. In America, in Britain, all over the world, there are people that just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, but fit the bill, that get put behind bars for crimes they never committed. So that whole 7 years, it wasn't that he was having affairs or that he had forgotten about his wife or children. He was behind bars for a crime that he never ever committed. And for this, his lawyers then sought to get compensation for all that time he had spent behind bars and all the time that had been wasted whilst he was there. And so not only did he get his freedom, but he also got a substantial amount of money from time spent behind bars, with which he had traveled back to Africa now to see his wife and his children. They got together. The money that he brought back was enough to buy them a huge house, for them to now for once become property owners and to start a new business and a new life, all from the very beginning of things, and live happily ever after. Why am I saying this? What am I sharing this story for? Sometimes we go through very difficult, challenging times. And when we go through those times, the temptation is great to listen to the court of public opinion, what everybody has to say. And if you're not careful, because the times that you're going through are difficult and challenging and hard, and you don't just know what to do with yourself, the temptation is great to allow the naysayers, the gossipers, the things that other people are saying to drive you to make decisions that are just going to end your destiny and truncate things, the real blessing that God has in store for you. And I know sometimes things can be really difficult. And in those times, that is when you need good people around you. Otherwise, you take hasty decisions that are not well thought through, decisions that are born out of desperation and emotion, and not always the best decisions that we make in life. Good morning, Eric. How are you doing, sweetheart? I hope you're doing fine. Sister Patricia, Sister Abuna, Connie, good morning to everybody, and I hope everybody is doing well this morning. Sometimes we allow other people's impressions and their thoughts about how things should be to run our own lives, when we all have different, unique destinies and parts of this life. And I know sometimes life can be very difficult. This woman had everything. All of a sudden, she had nothing because her husband was missing. She was living with somebody that was being good to them by giving them food and shelter. And for that reason, she was being accused wrongly of being a lesbian when she wasn't. It is hard. It is difficult. People are pointing accusing fingers at you and saying things that are untrue. The temptation is great at that point for you to want to prove yourself to those people. But the only person, if any, that you need to prove yourself to is yourself and your Heavenly Father. If you know that you're not doing anything untoward, forget about what people have to say. If she had listened to the court of public opinion and done what everybody else was saying, oh, leave him alone, go and marry somebody else, there are plenty of fishes in the sea. What guarantees does she have that this new man that would have come into her life with her 2 children was going to genuinely love her like her husband did and be able to provide every need that she had without being horrible to her? What shows? Maybe she would have met somebody. Maybe she wouldn't have. But the point I'm making is that don't allow what is happening around you, and especially what people are saying, to drive you to make decisions that you haven't thought about, whereby you're ready to live with every consequence of that decision that you've made. This woman waited because the pastor advised her to wait and pray until she has heard God say something. Don't just do things willy-nilly because people are saying this and that about you. And that is what saved her. That is what saved her life. That is how she made it through and became the person that was victorious in the end. Now, all these people that were gossiping and, spreading falsehoods about them, what do you think they had to say when this man showed up? And it wasn't because he had met any Jamaican woman or anybody else for that matter and remarried and forgotten about this family. And the man said, I wanted to come home because I wanted to see my wife and my children one last time. And if I went to bed at night and I never made it the following morning, I would go up to the heavens knowing that at least I got to see my wife and children one last time. She gave everything that he had come back with. He willed it all to his wife. Why? Because in the midst of adversity and pain and struggle and strife, even though the temptation was great to seek pastures elsewhere, she stayed and held on for 7 years. And he came back home and met her, still looking after the children and doing the best that she could to make ends meet with her situation. They were grateful to the widow for all that she had done to help as well. And the moral of the story is that we all go through circumstances in our lives that are not pleasant. We don't like it. It's hard. It's difficult. It's unbearable. I can't do this anymore. But strength in this life isn't all of our own. Anybody that's lived this life any long enough knows that you need a higher source to be able to survive and cope in this treacherous world. There's so many horrible people out there. People that are just jealous of who you are, the blessings that you carry. And they will say all kinds of things. And if you're that kind of person that is swayed by what people think about you, how they feel about you, what people are saying, and you're always living your life wanting to please the Joneses, you're going to end your life and your destiny abruptly because you listen to advice that probably is not your own advice. Live your life on the basis of your own principles in this life. Patience, resilience, and perseverance are attributes that are necessary to be able to survive in this life. You can't go through life trying to please everybody every day and doing things just because somebody says that is what is good for you. You have your own life to live, your own destiny to fulfill. And if you don't know who you are or whose you are, you make mistakes that truncate and sometimes end things, blessings that were made and meant for you to have. You completely destroy them by your own hands. Please, if this video has, resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, please share this video so that other people can learn this simple lesson about life. Not trying to please people, but living your life on your own terms, as long as you know that you're living by the principles of the Most High God and doing what is, you yourself can live by and be contented in and proud of yourself for, knowing that you're doing nothing untoward. Live your own life on your own terms. Forget about what people have to say. People always have something to say, and they always will. But when you do things on your own terms, you live in peace. Regardless of the noise out there, you live in peace. And all the things that are meant for you to have, they come to you. It wasn't that this guy was abusive, he was anything. He was a good husband, just in the wrong place at the wrong time. May the heavens bless all of us and give us the ability to be able to wait in stillness and quietness and seek help from our higher source in everything that we do. I hope this life lesson made sense. My name is Sika. I love you all so much. Connie, Nen, Eric, Sister Catherine, Connie, Patricia, Philip, Abner. God bless every single one of you. Have a fantastic Monday and the rest of this week. I want to hear what you have to say. What would you have done in her situation? What do you think about this story? God richly bless you all. Thank you so much for being here. The last thing I would ask is that for those of us that are Ghanaian, there is a YouTube channel that I've just started in Chi. For those of us who also want to hear vernacular being spoken, that is your website. And I will send you the link to the YouTube channel as soon as I get off this video. It's called Oba Sika TV. There's a lot of videos on there. Have a watch and tell me what you think. As well, Sika Educates is also on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel called Sika Educates, the exact same name as this one on Facebook. Please help me. Let's build a bigger community of people and let's all grow together and become better people for it. May the heavens bless you with everything this week. May everything you touch be a blessing. And may your life never ever be the same because of this video that you've watched. And think about the lessons that we can all get from this whole story and not do things because of what other people are saying about us. That is often false. Falsehoods that are being spread. Oh, everybody is looking at me. No. Do what is right and will make you happy in this life. I love you so much. Take care. Mwah. Bye.